Okay, let's make up a business rule. Imagine if this customer wants to go on a monthly, quarterly, or annual membership, they should be at least 18 years of age. So any membership type other than pay as you go requires someone who is 18 years or older. So to implement this, right click Models, add a new class. Let's call this min 18 years if a member. We need to derive this class from validation attribute, which is defined in system.componentModel.data annotations. Now here we need to override isValid method. Note that this method has two overloads, one that takes an object and the other that takes a validation context as well. My recommendation is to go for the second one because this will give you access to other properties of your model, as you will see shortly. Now, before we implement the actual validation logic, let's apply this attribute on our model. So, back to customer class. Here's the birth date. This is the property we're going to validate. So, min 18 years if a member. So if the user selects a membership type that is not pay as you go, they should also specify the birth date of this customer, and this customer should be at least 18 years of age. Now back to our validation attribute, delete this line. We're going to implement our own validation logic. Now first, we need to check the selected membership type, and that's where this validation context comes in the picture. So validation context that object instance, this gives us access to the containing class, in this case, customer. Now, because this is an object, we need to cast it to customer. So customer, like this. Now we can check the selected membership type. So if customer.membership type ID equals 1, that's the ID of pay-as-you-go membership type that we defined earlier in the database. Now, ideally, we should avoid magic numbers like 1, 2, 3, but let's implement the validation logic first, and then I will show you how to refactor this code and make it cleaner and more maintainable. So if this is a pay-as-you-go customer, we can assume birth date property is valid because we don't care about the birth date at this point. So we return validation result dot success. Success is a static field on the validation result class. Now, otherwise, first, we check to see if birth date is null. So if customer.birth date is null, here we return a new validation result and specify the error message. Birth date is required. So if you want to return a successful validation result, you use this static field. Otherwise, to indicate an error, you instantiate a new validation result. Okay, next, we've gotten the birth date, so we need to calculate the age. Datetime.today.year minus customer.birthdate.value, because this is a nullable datetime.year. Now, the calculation of age is actually a little bit more complicated than this, but let's not worry about that because that's not the focus of this lecture. Now, we return if age is greater than or equal to 18, we return validation result dot success. Otherwise, we return new validation result. Customer should be at least 18 years old to go on a membership. Now this line is a little bit too long, so to make the code more readable, I would like to break it up like this. That's it. That's how we implement a custom validation. Now the last step, we need to go back to our customer form. Here's our birth date field. So we need to add a validation message placeholder. HTML validation message for M goes to customer.birthdate. Let's test this. Build, back to the browser. So currently I'm on customers/new. Refresh the page. Now click save. Okay, we have a small bug here. In our validation class, we assume that if membership type ID is 1, birth date is considered valid. But if the user does not select membership type, from a usability point of view, it's better not to display the birth date error message because that would give the user too many error messages right from the get-go. So I would like to add another condition here. If customer.membership type ID is 0, and that happens when the user does not select a membership type, because 0 is the default value for numeric properties. Let's build. Back here. Refresh. Continue. Beautiful. The error message for birth date is gone. So now let's select monthly. Save. There you go. It's required. 1st of January 2000. Save again. Now we get a different error message. Customer should be at least 18 years. Now let's change this back to pay as you go. Save. Beautiful.